My name is Maria. I'm 28 years old, and I work for my father's company. Some people assume I only got my position because my father is the president, but I've worked hard to prove I deserve it. I wanted to be respected for my abilities, not just my last name. My husband, Raphael, has been my biggest support. He joined the company the same year as me, and we quickly became a team. Raphael is smart, hardworking, and well-liked by everyone. Even my father respects him. I felt lucky to have him by my side as I built my career. When he proposed, I felt that my life was finally coming together. But as much as I tried to focus on our future, there were small things about Raphael's past that I didn't know, things that would soon come to light, and those things would change everything. When we got engaged, I was excited to meet Raphael's family. I had heard a lot about them, especially his stepsister, Rena. The first time I met Rena was after the engagement. She was young, attractive, and seemed polite at first. But there was something in her eyes, something cold. It was as if she was measuring me up, sizing me up like I was a stranger. "You're going to marry my brother?" she asked, her voice sweet, but her tone was off. It made me feel uncomfortable, but I didn't want to overthink it. Maybe I was just imagining things. As the wedding drew closer, Rena's presence started to feel more and more unsettling. She began inserting herself into every part of the wedding preparations. One day, while I was trying on my wedding dress, she smiled and said, "This dress would look good on me too." Her fingers touched the fabric, almost like she was trying to take it for herself. I felt a sudden unease wash over me. It was just a moment, but something about it didn't sit right. Still, I tried to push the feeling away. The wedding went off without a hitch, but that moment stayed with me. After the wedding, things started to get even stranger. Rena began showing up uninvited to our house, offering to help with dinner or making small changes to things she thought needed adjusting. "Raphael doesn't like vegetables cut this way," she'd say, or "This seasoning is too strong for him." At first, I thought she was just trying to help, but it quickly became clear she was trying to take control. It was like she knew everything about Raphael, his likes and dislikes, better than I did. I began to feel more and more like a guest in my own home. What made it worse was how Raphael responded to her. Every time Rena gave her advice, Raphael would praise her. "I'm glad you're here, Rena. Maria, you should listen to her. She knows what's best for Raphael," he'd say. I wanted to scream, to tell him that something wasn't right, but I couldn't bring myself to. Raphael was a good man, and I didn't want to accuse him of anything. But deep down, I knew something was wrong. Rena wasn't just trying to help. She was trying to control our lives, and I wasn't sure why. One evening, while we were having dinner with my mother-in-law, Raphael excused himself from the table. That's when my mother-in-law leaned in and said something that would change everything. "There's something I need to tell you about Rena," she said, her voice quiet and serious. "She's my daughter from my previous marriage. When Raphael was in high school, her father mistreated her terribly, and I brought her into our family to give her a better life." I was shocked. I had no idea. My mind raced as I processed the information. It made sense now why Raphael was so protective of her, but why hadn't he told me this before? I had so many questions racing through my mind. Why hadn't Raphael told me about Rena's past before we got married? And why did she still play such a big role in our lives? As I thought more about it, I realized that I didn't know much about Raphael's past at all. He had kept so many things hidden from me, and Rena's constant presence, was it really just out of family duty, or was there something more? I had to get to the bottom of it. So, I decided to confront Raphael and ask him directly. I needed answers. When I asked Raphael about Rena, his reaction was immediate. His expression changed and he became tense. "Did my mom tell you?" he asked, avoiding eye contact. He didn't offer any more explanation. Every time I tried to ask more questions, he would either change the subject or leave the room. I was frustrated. Something wasn't right. I felt like he was hiding something from me, but no matter how much I pressed, he wouldn't open up. I knew I had to find out the truth, even if it meant going behind his back. Just as I was beginning to feel like I was getting closer to the truth, something happened that caught me completely off guard. We were planning our honeymoon, and out of nowhere, Raphael suggested something strange. Why don't we take Rena with us? He said. I was stunned. I thought he was joking. I immediately said no. I didn't want her to come on our honeymoon. It was supposed to be our time to relax and enjoy each other's company. But when we got to the airport, I couldn't believe my eyes. There was Rena standing there with her suitcase, ready to join us. I told you she was lonely and wanted to come, Raphael explained calmly, as if this was completely normal. I was speechless. I had already said no, but here she was, and Raphael was acting like everything was fine. I said no, I tried to explain again, but Rena interrupted me with a whiny tone. Why can't I come? I want to be part of my brother's memories. My heart sank. The people around us started to notice, and I felt like I was part of a twisted performance. Raphael lowered his voice and said, Are you going to make Rena cry? The pressure was overwhelming. I felt trapped. It was as if I had no choice but to accept this reality. I had to make a decision. The more I thought about it, the more everything seemed calculated. I couldn't shake the feeling that this whole situation had been planned from the start. The more I tried to escape, the more everything seemed to close in on me. I walked away, without a word. I didn't know what was happening, but I knew it wasn't right. My mind was spinning, and all I could think about was getting out of there and figuring out what to do next. As I left the airport, I called my father. His voice was calm but urgent. Maria, there's something important we need to discuss, he said. I couldn't understand what could be so urgent. My stomach twisted as I wondered if something had happened at the company or if it was about Raphael. The next morning, I learned that everything was about to change. My father called me into his office, his face grim. He showed me documents that revealed something I never expected. Raphael had been taking out huge loans under the company's name. He was in deep financial trouble, and I didn't know what to think. The shock didn't end there. My father continued to explain that there was something even worse. Rena wasn't who she said she was. She had been living under a different name, and the police had uncovered her involvement in a fraud scheme. I couldn't believe it. The woman I had thought was just Raphael's protective stepsister was actually part of a criminal operation. And the worst part? Raphael had known about it all along. He had been involved in the scheme from the start, helping Rena and her mother deceive everyone, including me. The more I learned, the more everything started to fall into place. Raphael's mother, Helena, was also involved in the fraud. She had been working with Rena for years, using her connections to manipulate Raphael and get close to our family. It was all part of a plan to take control of my father's company. The way Raphael had always treated Rena, his strange attachment to her, it all made sense now. I couldn't believe that I had been a part of their plan. But I needed more proof, so I decided to go to the nightclub where Rena had worked. At the nightclub, I met the owner, who revealed the final shocking truth. Rena had been a dancer, and so had her mother, Helena. Raphael had known about all of this. He had been helping them from the beginning. Everything, the loans, the lies, the control, was all part of a plan to take over the company. I confronted Raphael, and he admitted everything. The truth was worse than I could have imagined. I had been manipulated, used as a pawn in their game. But in the end, I walked away stronger. I had learned the hardest lesson of all. Sometimes the truth is darker than you ever